William Patterson University Television.
Welcome back to the desk. The men's and women's Pioneers teams are both heading to the NJAC playoffs, and join me to discuss everything WP basketball. We have Anthony, Danny, Steven, and Joe. Anthony, we go to you first. The Pioneers just wrapped up their regular season this weekend. The men's, this weekend they're gonna play TCNJ. Anthony, what are we gonna look for in this matchup?
Well, the good thing for the Pioneers is that they're playing a kind of easy opponent, They're going to try and, fresh up for the playoffs, and doing it against an opponent like Rutgers Camden. No disrespect to them, but they're 0-6. So you feel like that they can get some momentum going into the postseason. This is a team in both games. They're only in the two games they played. They're only averaging 74.5 points a game. They're being outscored by an 8.5 point margin. So you want to see them get that up. But personally, come in tonight and tomorrow, do your thing, and get ready for the tournament.
Joe?
No, I completely agree with everything Anthony has said there. It's no secret that the Pioneers have struggled a little bit so far this season. But one thing I do look for them to do is put up a lot of points. That Rutgers Camden defense has a lot of flaws in it. The coaching is a little questionable over there. So this would be a really good chance for the Pioneers to get hot.
Steve?
Yeah, I think the Pioneers definitely dodged a bullet here. TCNJ is arguably probably the top team in the NJAC in the men's conference. So the fact that they could play now the worst team in the conference and get a couple, hopefully get a couple wins under their belt, it may help towards the playoffs. Again, everyone makes the playoffs in the NJAC this year, so I don't know how great it is to say you made the playoffs because everyone made it. But what's going to matter is if you can make a run in those playoffs and compete and get a win, and hopefully the Pioneer momentum starts tonight.
Yeah, as you just said, their ticket was already punched to the playoffs before the season started. But what they do in the playoffs they'll definitely keep my eyes out because I think this team can make a run. If this team can get hot, I believe this team can make a run. But Danny, what are you expecting from this matchup with Rutgers Camden?
I'll make it 4-for-4 because I also agree with the guys that it should be a nice win for the men's Pioneers team, considering that Rutgers Camden is 0-6. One thing to look out for is because of the long layoff due to COVID, they haven't played in almost 3 weeks. So they have to be careful of being lethargic or being a little rusty and just going through the motions.
Yeah, and keeping it with you, Danny. As we said already, everybody make the playoffs, so that means that the Pioneers will make the playoffs. But to have a deep postseason run, Danny, who do you think is the biggest X factor for this men's team?
Well, for me, I'm going to go with a guy who I nicknamed Filet Mignon, my guy, Dom Mignon. He was the number 2 last year behind Sean Smith. This year, he's taking a little bit of a secondary role because of the transfer. Yvonne Monfleury is having his 2 games were really great, and Jaden Cepeda's improvement has been really vast. So he's kind of taking a back seat to those 2. But if he plays like the way he did last year, I think they have a nice 3-headed attack on offense.
Yep.
TCNJ is likely who we would have to play if we are the lowest seed and they are the top seed in the first round. And if that does go down, I'm looking for Yvonne Monfleury, as Danny just mentioned. The guy is a dominant forward. I really think that he's going to be the defensive stalwart that could potentially stop one of those higher seeded teams' best players.
Anthony?
I've been on this guy for a while, and that's Jaden Cepeda. Second-year player. We see him get some fresh air, last season. Played a little bit. This year, he's taken off. He's averaging 20.5 points a game. He's only shooting 200% from 3, 2 for 10 overall, so you do want to see him improve upon that a little bit. But, if he's going to improve upon that, now's the time, these final 2 games before the playoffs. Also, he's got 5 and 7 rebounds in each of his 2 games. So we have seen him rebound the ball a lot more, get a lot more assists, take more care of the ball. Overall, I'm a big fan of what Cepeda brings to the table.
Steve, close us out.
I have to go with Yvonne Monfleury. The guy comes in, is a scoring machine. He plays great defensive basketball. I want to touch on your point, Joe. If the Pioneers plays TCNJ has to quarantine for a minimum of 2 weeks. Now, the first round of the playoffs begin next week. So we're going to have to see how that's all going to work out. Maybe the Pioneers dodge another bullet not having to play TCNJ. But if they get there, look for Yvonne Monfleury to make a statement.
Yeah, that's a hell of a name there. And he's been playing some terrific basketball when the Pioneers have had the chance. But Steve, we'll go to you, and we're going to shift from locker rooms. We'll go from men's to the women's team. The Lady Pioneers, they just dropped their last game against NJCU. What was your biggest takeaway from that game?
Oh man, let me tell you something. The fourth quarter play for the Lady Pioneers, I hate to say it, but it was very poor. They were up 4 heading into the fourth quarter, and they let up a 26-2 run to lose against the top team in the NJAC. They played so well the whole game. You got to finish out games. That's the key with any basketball team. And when it's 8-game season, every win matters. You got to take that one home last week.
Danny?
I completely agree. It was a complete fourth quarter collapse, 24-4 in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
I would say like the ladies team, they struggle offensively. They went 0 for 11 from 3. They don't get a lot of fast break points, and they don't get much production from their bench. When that happens, fourth quarter collapses like that tend to happen.
Anthony?
Yeah, and this is kind of a surprise with the Lady Pioneers. The fourth quarter has pretty much been their best quarter all year. We've seen them outscore opponents game in and game out. To see them really, take a beating like this in the fourth quarter is kind of a surprise. But personally, I just want to chalk it up as an anomaly. I think they'll bounce back this weekend against TCNJ and then head into the playoffs with some momentum.
I also do agree, Anthony. I think that this game was definitely an anomaly. As you said, their fourth quarter stats, they were pretty good before this game. But Joe, the last one here. So what is your takeaway? And did you see anything positive from this game for the Lady Pioneers?
Thank you. I was about to actually look at the bright side. We are talking
always positive. Come on.
We are talking about an NJCU team that was undefeated going into this game, and your Lady Pioneers outplayed them for 3 quarters. The third quarter was a dominant affair for the Pioneers. It fell apart at the end, but for 3 quarters of the game, Pioneers played outstanding. Of course, another great game from Allison McBride and Brianna Brooks, and actually Justina Cabezas really stepped up in this game. This was a real group effort for the Pioneers. Couldn't hang on, but a 10-2 run at the end of the third quarter, very impressive to me because this is a real opponent.
Yeah, and I think the Lady Pioneers, if they see them again, I think they're going to have a little extra excitement to play them and get their win back. But like we said with the men, everybody makes the playoffs, so that means the same thing for the Lady Pioneers. And Joe, based on the last 6 games, what do you think the Lady Pioneers' biggest strength is going into the NJAC tournament?
Well, the Lady Pioneers, one thing that they always do well is they rebound. Both sides, they're always crash to the board, second chance opportunities galore offensively. That's really where the Pioneers, or that's where the bread and butter comes from. So that's what I like. They're basically even rebounding them and their opponents this season. That's what I like to say.
Danny?
Really agree with Joe here. Honestly, that is their best strength. When they crash the boards, get second chance opportunities, and get some easy buckets to help their offense, I think that's the Lady Pioneer strength.
Anthony?
These Lady Pioneers get to the free throw line like any other team I've seen, unlike any other team I've seen. They have 118 free throw attempts, while their opponents have 93 free throw attempts. They've had 25 more attempted free throws than their opponents. Now, making them, you have to convert on them, obviously. As Steve says, best thing about free throws, they're free. You have to make them for them to count. But if the Pioneers can keep getting to the line, it should pay off in the end.
Steve, close us out.
The biggest strength of Pioneer Samory is the play from their bigs. McBride, Cabezas, and Brooks have each posted multiple double-doubles this season. Their scoring is off the charts. Justina Cabezas was a couple weeks ago NJAC Player of the Week. So if they're gonna win in the playoffs, they have to go through them.
Yeah, and it's gonna be fun to see on both the men's and women's side. Can't wait for the playoffs. It's gonna be fun to see both of our teams in the playoffs. But spring training is definitely right around the corner, and we're going to get out of the rec center and throw a fastball right to the MLB crew as we break down the latest in the diamond. Stick around here on WP Sports.